Long time no see, guys. I realize I've been absent for a year, and a lot has been going on between a career change and then a lot of life stuff's been going on. So it's kind of dampened my mood for really being able to make videos and whatnot. But surprise face reveal! I just thought this was a lot easier. Plus, you get to see my manga in the background, so that's wonderful. And just know this is my first time recording my face, so I may be looking all sorts of places. So it's gonna be like, I'm so afraid I'm gonna be like looking this way, that way, every way, and then I'm gonna realize after in the editing process, oh my god, you're not even like really looking in the direction that you need to be looking. So I've got to get used to left is right and left and right is left. So if this is weird the first time, I promise I will get better. So this is more of a booktube video because my previous videos were manga based. I felt I was going to be exclusively just a manga tuber, but I've since then gotten back into reading, so it's going to be a combination of manga and books, but this one is just books, as well as I also have an unboxing later in the video. But since it's a comeback video, it's going to be a fairly longer video than normal. So I'm just going to get right into it. First, I'm going to be talking about the books that I have read so far this year. I will not be giving any spoilers in these videos. First up, we have Kill Creek by Scott Thomas. And this is a horror thriller novel. And it is, the general overview of the book is, it starts out with these authors having to stay in this infamous haunted house known as the Finch House. And it's his way to promote their latest book. But what starts out as a way to promote their books soon turns into much more than they had bargained for. Overall, I enjoyed this book. I rated it 3 stars. The story, however, was a little bit slow for my taste. At first, I don't mind slow-paced books, but if they tend to drag on, I find myself getting bored and feeling like, okay, get to the point already, what's going on? So I felt like it tended to be that way with this book. While it is a good story and is really interesting, and it can be kind of creepy at times, it was not overall scary for me. While it's my favorite genre, horror doesn't scare me that much. There's not many games or movies or books that have really overall like unnerved me. So when one can, I get really impressed. But unfortunately, this one only was somewhat creepy. It wasn't that scary. It didn't really like make me want to turn like on all the lights and like look around the corner or anything. It didn't really deliver in that area, but that was okay because it was still a really good book. I did enjoy it. One of the things that I liked was the multiple perspectives of the story. I did like that you did get to see from each author's point of view of what was going on and what was happening to them and how they were experiencing the Finch House. I thought that was really interesting. It gives you an insight to what everyone is going through, which is really interesting. My favorite character was Sebastian, hands down. I tend to have a soft spot for older characters as it is, and I really liked how he was not overall grumpy, but he was kind of wizened and kind of like sage-like, and he was the veteran of the group, so I definitely liked his character, and his overall story really intrigued me when you get to learn more about him. However, one that I expected to like was more. She was presented as a very strong woman, and there was no doubt that she was very strong in nature, but her personality definitely clashed with me. And at first, she was very endearing, obviously eccentric. She's just weird, and she really just tells it like it is. Her personality just came off very brash, and it got to be really off-putting, which was a shame because I really thought that she was going to be my favorite character out of the entire book, but she was not. To me, she came off as what the author saw as a feminist, someone who is very hard-edged, hates men, and screams about their rights. She has a very to heck with everyone else personality. By the end of the book, I was very tired of her character, and I was just like, no, this is not what a feminist is. This is what a bad representation of a feminist is. So I was not impressed with that. And that may not have been the author's intention to represent that, and I could be misinterpreting, but overall, it looks like that's what it was, and I'm just like, nah, not a big fan. Overall, I did really enjoy this book, despite my 3 stars. 3 stars to me doesn't always mean that I did not like it. It just meant that it didn't quite hit the mark for a 4-star or a 5-star, but I did enjoy my time with the book. And I really like the cover. I love this house. It's very imposing, and that's kind of like what the house in general is. It's very imposing. The cover really showed that off, and I love these pages. I don't think they're showing, well, I don't think that they'll show on camera, but I think they're deckled. That's what they're called. But I love deckled edges. I like the feel of them and look of them. It makes it look really rough, so it's really kind of cool. Next up, I read Ship It by Britta London. This follows the story of Claire, who is a fanfiction writer for her favorite series, Demon Heart. When she learns that the cast will be at a con near her, she jumps at the chance to go. Although reluctant, she's given the opportunity to ask the question if her ship is canon or not, which is then met with backlash from one of the leading actors, Forrest, that leads to the company bringing Claire in as a sort of PR and how to better represent the fandom. And it follows two different perspectives. It follows both Claire's and Forrest's perspectives, which is you get the insight from both sides, which I really like, because you get the fandom side and you get the side of the actors, which I feel like is very important because you get to see both sides of the coin. I ended up rating this 3 stars. Before we get into why I rated the book like I did, I just want to show off the inside of this book because it's so, awesome. Look at that. Oh, there's a glare. I love how bright the colors are and how everyone is dressed up in character. It's kind of like a Where's Waldo style. It's very cute and colorful, and there's just so many different characters on here. And I really liked how I was constantly noticing something new about the cover that I didn't notice before, which I thought was really awesome. Within the media fandom, we all have our ship that we want to make happen, and I'm no exception to this. So I really related to that aspect, and as a previous fan fiction writer, I really related to this book, especially the opening first page. If you've read this book, you know what I'm talking about. I feel like the author had a very good grasp of how the fandom works, both the positive and negative side, so it gets heavy props from that side. But the problem what I felt was I didn't really like Claire all that much. She wasn't very relatable, other than the fact that she wrote fan fiction. She definitely had good, insightful reasonings, but she takes things way too far, and this book does a good job of showing that, by all means, don't get me wrong. But I was very tired of her character facts, and I actually related more to Forrest than I was expecting. I really liked reading his parts, and I could very much empathize with him, because Claire does take things really far. So she's very off-putting. At a later date, I'm considering making a review over the more reasons of why I did not really enjoy it as much as I did, because I feel like if I get too much into it, it's going to be in spoiler territory. That's not where I tend to go. But overall, I did not relate to her at all. And while Forrest did take things a little too far at times as well, I felt like his side was a lot more relatable. There is bisexual and pansexual representation in this book, so I definitely was eager to also pick this up because of that reason, because I could always use more career lit in my life. And sadly, the relationship wasn't my favorite in the story. It just felt there for the sake of being there, and I was very disappointed in that factor. So I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars. It's a quick read. It didn't take me very long to read this all. I maybe finished this in about 2 or 3 days. If you like books based around fandom, you might really enjoy this, maybe even a little bit more than I did. Overall, I did enjoy this book, but it's not without its problems. But I enjoyed the story for what it was. I felt it did a very good job at hitting a lot of points, and a lot of things did get resolved, but there are still underlying problems, which I will probably be talking about more later. Next up, we have The Diviners by Libba Bray. I gave this 4 stars. I really enjoyed it and was very surprised that I enjoyed it, because the 20s is not an era that I am really interested in. It's just not my era. I like the more 1800s Victorian times. That was more interesting to me. However, it really surprised me. It follows the story of Evie O'Neill, who, after an incident back home, is sent to live with her eccentric uncle, who runs an occult shop. While she's very excited about getting away from her boring hometown, she's more afraid that her uncle will discover a secret that she has. But when her uncle is called to assist in a crime scene investigation to do with the occult, she realizes that her gift might be able to help catch the killer. This book is also told in multiple perspectives, and I've grown to really love this style of writing. Used to, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so overwhelming when it comes to multiple perspective type books. But over the years, I've read some really good ones, and this one is no exception. Because there's so many amazing characters that it's really hard to narrow it down, because there's just so many in here that are amazing. So you get to see definitely all different sides of the story, so you really get to be immersed with it, and I really like that. And I found that with the 1920s element, it feels close to what I know about the 1920s. So I felt like it was a good representation of the 1920s. And I love the supernatural elements. That's what really sold me on this. And the fact that there is also queer rep in this book. And I ate this up really fast. It was just so good. Now, the reason why it didn't get 5 stars was I felt like it did kind of drag as well. And lately, with me trying to get back into reading, I need things to go a little faster. But it is a series, so I take that in consideration. I definitely recommend this book if you like supernatural elements and the occult. This might be a really good book for you. And if you love multiple perspectives like I do, this is a book not to be missed. And with the building mystery that's at hand, I can't wait to read the next book. Next up, we have Saltkill Girls by Clara LeGren. After tragedy strikes, a young woman must move to Saltkill Rock with her family, where her mother's new job is located. She soon finds out that the island itself is shrouded in mystery. She soon finds out that for over 150 years, girls have been going missing and never have been found. It also follows the story of a girl who moved to Saltkill Rock not too long ago herself, within at least a year or two. And her own best friend has turned up missing, and she's looking for her. And it also follows another girl who maybe knows a little bit more than she's letting on. I'm not going to go into too much detail about this book because I feel like to talk about it too much would give it away. Because I love this book so much, I definitely recommend people going to read it. It's got wonderful ace representation, bi representation. It actually says the word bisexual. I mean, come on, you don't see that a lot. Like you know that they're bisexual, but most times I've seen in queer lit books. Most of the time, with some of the queer lit books that I have read, they will not say the word bisexual, and I'm just like, okay, clearly the word bisexual needs to be used in this. So it's important to me when they actually go out and actually say the word bisexual. It's like, people are bi. You can say the word. You can use it. It exists. And also what I liked about it was the fact of it was that the relationships in here it wasn't made a big deal of. It was just there. And that's how books should be. It should just be simplistic. It shouldn't have to be a big deal. While coming out stories are highly important, and I do enjoy them from time to time, I also like seeing LGBT plus community represented as it should be in everyday life. So this book definitely nailed that. The mystery was very intriguing. I loved learning about it overall. I ate this book up really fast. And it's heavy on feminism, and it's very girl power. I really love that, and it's definitely very strong female leads. And what I appreciated most about this book was actually in the first few pages, where it follows Marion, who's the girl who moves to Saltkill Island with her family. And the fact of it is, the way it was represented with grief. I felt like the author definitely hit the nail on the head. It showed aspects of conversations of what people will say to you after you've lost a loved one, and dealing with that. I related heavily to Marion in this aspect because while I did not lose a father, I lost a mother, and I was going through a lot of things that people would say during the time, and a lot of the ways that they would word things would bother me. And while they didn't mean it in a malicious way, it got to me. So like hearing "I'm so sorry" or "I'm sorry for your loss," or if they try to be really affectionate, I immediately recoil from that. So hearing the different things and like stated out loud, like, wow, yeah, this author gets it. A lot of times people don't know how to approach the topic of grief because you don't know how a person's going to react. Everyone does react differently to grief. So it meant a lot for me to see that in the book. So yeah, this was a really great book. I gave it 5 stars. And I really hope that there's going to be a second one because I do need to know more about this lore. It heavily intrigued me. I need a sequel, so I'm hoping that there will be one. If you've been thinking about picking up this book, I definitely urge you to. It's a wonderful read. It's very enrapturing, and it was hard to put down. just go buy it. Like, go buy it now. Or check it at the library, because you definitely want to support your library. Next up, we have The Tiger's Daughter by Kay Arsenault Rivera. I am slaughtering that, so I am sorry to the author on that level. I'm going to go say right off the bat, I rated this 2 stars. I did not enjoy it as much as I wanted to. I was definitely disappointed with that fact. I thought at first it was going to be at least a 3-star, but sadly it ended up being 2 stars. It follows the story of 2 women who are from 2 different worlds. One is a to-be empress. I'm going to say she's sort of like a guardian to her, but their mothers were best friends, so they kind of grew up together. So they were kind of like destined to be together, so to say. And it tells a story in a format that I just did not like at all. With the decaying imperial line, it has led to rampant corruption, barren fields, and demons. And the Empress and the Guardian are essentially the last hope of this civilization. So essentially, I felt like this book had a lot of potential. I mean, give me an Asian-inspired worlds any day, add in supernatural elements, demons galore, you've got me sold. And throw in a main lesbian couple, and you've got me sold. Like, you've got me there. I will undoubtedly read this, because there's not enough queer Asian literature out there. There's not very many, or I've not been privy to knowing about it, or at least it's hiding from me. But the fact of it is, it was not what it set out to be. It was marketed as these 2 women who were to make a stand to protect and save their land, but what you got was so much less. It did not deliver at all for me. The story was way too slow burning, and it's told through 2 different perspectives. It's told from the Empress's point of view, whose name is Shizuka, and her guardian, Shivali. Shivali's point of view is told in a letter form dating back from their early days as a child, going all the way back to when they were like 2 or 3. At first, I didn't know this. I thought, oh, it's just a letter, it's going to end soon, but it never did. And I did not like this aspect. I'm like, a lot of the time, Shizuka was there for the book. She didn't need to be retold what had happened. I get filling in some of the spaces. I mean, well, I love learning about Shivali's culture and the stories of their mothers. That was heavily engaging. That had like major selling points for me. But apart from that, it was just so slow burning. There was just so much unnecessary need. This book would have been translated better in real time rather than talking about past events that had already happened. It didn't really catch me. After a while, it's just like, get to the point already. I'm done with this. I'm tired of it. What's going to happen? Like, what happened? Why are you 2 separate? Because clearly they are not with each other, with Shivali telling the story of what's going on and then the Empress reading it, with Shizuka's not really moving the story that much further along till towards the end, which was very painful to read up to that point. There were very interesting points, as I said. I really loved learning about like this world, but it was also very confusing because there is no log in the back to tell you like the different types of honorifics. There's just too many honorifics. There is not enough. Then there's too many characters in a certain sense. I've lost track of them because there'd be a different honorific on there, or I just forget about them entirely. So it was incredibly frustrating, and I just did not enjoy my time with the overall aspect of the book. And there's also a part in here that I will not spoil because obviously it's a spoiler, but it was a huge trope for me, and I'm just like, nope. And I will probably be doing a more in-depth review on this, which will not be spoiler free. So if anyone would be interested in that, feel free to leave me a comment down below. Lastly, I read Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Nagan. First off, I really love this cover. It was immediately entrapped me when I saw this on BookTube. I'm like, I've got to read this. It's so gorgeous. And this also has a main queer-led couple, especially since it's Pride Month. I definitely wanted to read more LGBT plus books. The story follows Lei, who is forced to become a paper girl, which is essentially a courtesan for the Demon King. In this world, it is based on a caste system, with the moon caste being the highest, the steel being the middle, and the lowest class being paper caste. And at first, she sort of resigns herself, but among it all, she doesn't realize that the one thing she never intended to do was to fall in love. And the story is very empowering in itself, but it's also very dark, so I'm going to automatically say that this is a trigger warning for sexual violence. If that is something hard for you to read, I definitely would not recommend picking up this book based on that. I was definitely intrigued by this world. I love caste systems, and even better, I love caste systems that are done well, and that intrigued me. The fact is that you have a caste system based with demons and humans. It's not something I read much, so I thought this was really interesting. With very vivid imagery, I loved Leigh as a main character. She's definitely a strong character overall, and I really enjoyed the romance that was budding between her and her love interest. Well, there was more underlying issues going on. I do wish that there was more time with her and her love interest. I felt like it needed just a little bit more, and it felt like the ending itself was a little bit more rushed than it really needed to be. But there's a sequel, so I can forgive it for that. But for that reason, I did give it 4 stars, but I absolutely loved it. It was enchanting, enthralling. Okay, now we're going to get to the book haul portion, now that I've babbled on about the other ones, probably very poorly, I might add. We're going to get to the fun part. This covers between last month and this month, so it's more of like a May-June book haul. So I've got a little bit of a stack here. First up is Lair of Dreams by Libba Bray. This, of course, is the sequel to The Diviner, so I'm not going to go into detail about what this book is about. And also the third book, Before the Devil Breaks You by Libba Bray. This is the third book in the series, and obviously I'm not going to be talking about it, but I absolutely love the cover, and the title really caught me. I initially wanted to get the paperback version, but it's either out of print or they have not made one yet. So I had to contend with getting the hardback version. But I don't mind because it lets me read the story. I need to hurry up and read both the second and the third because the fourth will be coming out, I think, this year. The next book I got is Summer of Salt, which I think this is considered a contemporary. I don't read much contemporaries. I don't really like them. And I don't know a lot about this book, so I can't really give you a heavily detailed description of what it's about. All I know is it has witches, it has queer characters, and that pretty much had me sold. So, if you like witches and you like queer characters, this book might be for you, and it's pretty short, so you should be able to get through it really fast. I love this cover. It's super cute, and I love the colors that really make it pop. So I'm definitely looking forward to getting around to this. Next up, we have The Queen of Eleutheria. I am probably butchering that name, and I'm going to hold the book like this because I feel like if I hold it any other way, it's going to hold a glare. And it's about a princess who is essentially betrothed. The princess is brought there to marry the prince to unite their countries. In a cruel twist of fate, the prince ends up being assassinated, and she is then offered to marry the princess. And you don't see that often in books, and it's got a fantasy element. It sounds very promising. I was very sad that it was so short. It looked a lot bigger when I was seeing it on BookTube, but that's totally fine. There are more books in this series, so I'm looking forward to reading this and seeing how it is. But apart from that, I don't know much else, but I'm very much looking forward to reading this. And then next up we have The Phoenix Empress by Kate Arsenault Rivera. This is the second book to The Tiger's Daughter. I thought originally that I was really going to like The Tiger's Daughter, so I bought the second book within the knowledge that I would like the first book. Unfortunately, it was not the case, but because I bought the second book, I'm going to, of course, be reading it. As a sequel, I won't be going much into it, but I definitely hope it is better than the first book and told in a way different format, because if it's not, I'm going to be heavily disappointed and I will not be finishing this series. Next up is I Wish You All the Best by Mason Deaver. This follows the story of Ben, who comes out to their parents as non-binary. When things go south, they're forced to move in with their estranged sister and her husband. Their attempts at laying low are thwarted when they meet a very charismatic and funny individual. Other than that, I don't know much about it, and I'm really looking forward to reading this because I've never read a book with a non-binary character as the main character, so I feel like this will be very interesting. And I absolutely loved this cover. When I first saw it, I knew, I have a bad habit of buying books because of their covers. Most of the time are pretty good about picking good books with beautiful covers. So I usually don't have a horrible habit of picking books that I usually don't judge a book by its cover and be wrong about it, is what I'm trying to say. But I absolutely love the cover. It's so cute, and I love the art. It's just phenomenal. And then when you take it off, I love what's underneath the dust jacket. I love the purple. And then the yellow pages on the inside are also very appealing to me. I'm liking how we're getting more purple covers, and it's kind of perfect for Pride Month. And next up, I have a very, very chunker of a book. It is The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. I was really taken by the cover. Once again, I picked this up based on the cover, but I did not realize how thick it was. Like, look at that! It's huge! So huge. And it looks to be Asian inspired, and it's told in 3 different perspectives of 3 different women from 3 different walks of life. And I'm really looking forward to getting into that because I love Asian inspired fantasies, and this one looks like it's going to deliver, but I don't know when I'm going to get to it because it's so thick and I have so many other things to read right now, so I don't know when this will get read, but it will at some point, and I cannot wait. Seriously, it's so thick. Lastly, we have The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. It is a sci-fi fantasy. It follows several different cast of characters who are offered a once-in-a-life opportunity to travel through a wormhole and to make some serious cash along the way. Like a lot of books in my book haul, I don't know a lot about, but I am looking forward to it because there is a queer relationship in here, and yes, like I said, I bought most books for queer representation this month because it is Pride Month, so what? Don't judge me. Anyway, I'm really looking forward to getting to this. I'm not a huge sci-fi reader, but there is occasionally a series that'll come along every once in a while and will grab me, and they will do things right, and I will love it. But space travel is usually not my sort of thing. And lastly, we have the unboxing, which I can't wait to get to. It's the biggest incentive for me to get back to making YouTube videos. I've been wanting to. I just needed to have an incentive. So without further ado, I'm going to be doing a Sipsby unboxing. It is a monthly tea subscription service. Go on there and tell them what types of teas you like, ranging from what you might want to see in your box and what you would not want to see in your box, and they match you based on what you have said in your tea test. I am very excited to get to this. I love tea. Tea and coffee are my best friends. Let's see if I can get this box open without actually ripping my finger open. That would be nice. That would be all I needed. Okay. First off, we have the cheater card, which I am not going to be showing. And then we have these tea bags that come with every box. They come in this pouch, which is super cute. Now, if I can get this open without dropping it, that will be one thing. So I'll just take one of these out here. And they just come in these. You can put your loose leaf tea in them. If you don't have a teapot or like an Ingenuity pot from Adagio, these can come in handy. Or if you just don't like putting them in a teapot, if you prefer tea bags. Okay, let's see what we got next. I'm just kind of blindly pulling them out. Okay, we have, oh, it's a tea drop, and it is sweet peppermint. Let's see here. See if you can see that. Oh, it has spearmint and peppermint. That is really cool. I've been wanting to try these. I thought they were ridiculously cute. And you just, I guess all you have to do is just do, the way it says is you pour, drop, and enjoy. So I will definitely have to try this out. It's so cute. I can't get over it. Oh, I need to move on. But yes, tea drop. Oh, we have another one right on. And it's kind of showing up more blue in the camera, but the packaging is kind of green. Oh, and we got another one. I am all on board, the more the merrier. Okay, next up we have Lavender Bloom Black Tea. I love lavender in my tea, and I love black tea. And it says, immerse yourself in the intricate blend of lavender and rose flowers with the finest tippy black tea. And this is the company. Yeah, a lot of this is coming more blue than green, but this is green on the other side of the camera. I love the little pouch it comes in. And what I love is in the boxes themselves, because I've got Sipsby before, basically they tell you where you can get the tea, and I think you also get discounts from the tea shops as well, which is super cool. Okay, this next thing, it's definitely loose leaf tea from what I'm feeling. Okay. It is called Tea Fiore. And it is a beautiful simple blend of white tea and rose to soothe you. And it contains Bai Mudan, white tea, and rose petals. And just look at that. It's very leafy and floral. I love the little logo on the back here. It's really cute. Oh, and you can kind of smell it through the packaging, and it smells really nice. But this is going to be a kind of like a very, obviously it's going to be a very fragrant tea. I'm going to enjoy that. It just smells so good, you guys. Next up we have Kashmiri Chai, and it is obviously a green tea. Sadly it's coming brown in the video, or at least on where I can see it. And it sounds Japanese. And the company is David's Tea. You can't really see it. I'm going to get that in there. This is the company where you can get it from, David's Tea. It's really cute. I love the silver pouch with a green logo. I do like a green tea, and it is light cardamom spice. So it's got a cardamom flavor. I don't know how much I like cardamom. I'm not like a huge fan of it, but I'm interested in trying this and hopefully enjoying it, because so far I've been pleasantly surprised with my Sipsby teas. And that was it for my Sipsby box. I got a lot of interesting flavors. I got a nice mixture of everything, so I'm really excited to try all of them. But if I had to like pin like a couple down, it would be the tea drops and the white tea. It sounds super good, and I'm super excited. I love Sipsby. I love teas. Loose leaf tea is my favorite. I love trying different teas from different companies, and with Sipsby you really get that, because you get to know about companies that you may not have known about, because I mainly buy from Adagio for my loose leaf teas. So this is just a great way to try something new. If you like subscription boxes and if you love tea like me, this might be the box for you. It reigns in, I think it costs $14 to $15, but there are codes out to get 50% off your first box, which is really awesome. So I would go out there and look for it if you're interested. So that's gonna do it for this video. If you got through it to the end, thank you so much. If you like this video, please give it a like, hit that subscribe button, and to keep up to date when I post new videos, hit that bell. And if you want to follow me on Instagram and Twitter, there will be links to that down below, as well as a link to Sipsby. And I'll see you guys hopefully soon. Bye!